I have had the pleasure of doing a number of the post-show conversations for Endgame, in which I'm also fortunate to be an actor. And I have to tell you, I am incredibly moved by the way that people respond to the play, in that they are willing to take a work that is, on one level, very abstract and make it very personal to their own situation. One of the ways that we often start, first to acknowledge that the play is not a kind of straightforward narrative, and therefore asks us to be interpretive in our reception of it, is to start with what are some of the images or the lines that stick with you especially. And people have very strong responses to certain areas of the play, certain little knots, repetitions of the play. And secondly, to ask, do these characters or do these situations remind you of something from your own life? And it's there really that I have been, as I said, very moved by people's response. In fact, I think one of the very poignant comments that when asked, does this hand remind you of anyone? A woman was candid to say, it reminded me of my mother at the end of her life when she was confined to a wheelchair. So the kind of petty tyranny in that man made sense to her. It was a kind of coping strategy, and she had witnessed that. I think, the other thing that the play invites is a reading of itself, on the one hand as four people interacting, but on another, if you sort of turn the wheel just a little bit, we start looking at the stage and we say, here is one person, Ham, in the center of this. And gosh, now that I look at it, the physical environment of the play doesn't replicate a realistic room. It's a kind of elongated room or extended room. It has great vertical reach. And my goodness, those windows are placed rather high for a conventional room. And sometimes there's a stepladder between them. And we begin to see potentially the inside of a skull. And that we are, in the audience, are positioned to be the sort of back of mind. And maybe we're looking out what is out from Ham's mind onto the landscape that he surveys. People begin to trust their reading of the significance of those things, which they deeply detect watching the play, and then begin to share what that means in their own life. And it's really an honor. And I think what happens is that many people come to understand that something that at first feels elusive to them, they in fact have a rather deep understanding of what it is that Endgame is offering them.